Next guest is a high school history teacher in Louisiana who is strongly opposed to this new law. Jacob Newsom joins me now. Jacob, thanks for joining us.
Before he even says anything, he looks like he's against having the having the 10 Commandments on the wall. Look at his face. Bruh, you can tell he's against it. I ain't even got to listen to him speak. Already know that he's against putting the commandments on the wall, bruh.
Thank you for having me.
So even though the governor signed this mandate, it's supposed to start in 2025, you say you're not going to comply with it.
No, Abby, I'm not. And if compelled to comply, it will be malicious compliance. I just think it is a foolish thing for us to be doing, regardless of your background, your religiosity or lack thereof. We have issues in the public school system in Louisiana, and I just don't really see how posting the 10 Commandments.
I'm so mad that she's this way, man, because to me, she's so pretty. She's such a beautiful young lady, man, and so idiotic at the same time, and believe she's doing a good work, but she's not. She's not. Okay.
Is going to do anything to solve any of them when we have real issues of staffing, understaffing, lack of resources, students below poverty level, homelessness and students, and so on and so forth. So I'll focus on my students and what they need to succeed in this world, and I'll leave the cultural wars to somebody else.
They need that, bro. Like, think about it. If you taught them that, don't you think that will help them when they go home? Think about it. Thou should not kill. Most of my kids live in communities where they killing each other. You don't think them seeing that will help them? Thou should not steal. Most of the kids that I'm teaching, they live in communities where they stealing cars and they robbing people. And you don't think that'll help them? I'm just saying, like, common sense, guys, common sense. It's just, honestly, they've sold their souls already. They want to have nothing to do with Christianity at all. That's it. That's it. Unless it means that that dollar, that in God we trust. I want some more of that. Some of that smelling, that stinking money. I take some more of that. But that's it.
Do you think that this is about, scaring teachers with the threat of punishment more than anything else?
I think when you look at this previous legislative session, the bills that didn't get through, and then our current legislative session that just ended and the bills that did get through, there's a clear pattern of intimidation by public officials that are, quite frankly, taking money and support from AstroTurf groups to push a certain view of what America is and what it should be, with things like don't say gay legislation or not discussing gender or sexuality in the classroom outside of the curriculum. Where these laws, including the 10 Commandments bill, are purposely vague to create this environment where teachers feel as though there are only very specific things they can talk about, and they might open themselves up to dismissal or lawsuit venture outside of these lines that are not clearly defined at all. So yeah, I do think that it's really just an intimidation tactic. I think it's bullying, quite frankly, yes.
Whatever happened to
Bullying.
Freedom of speech? I wonder... the 10 Commandments, some people are Christian, and that is a part of their faith.
Freedom of speech? Am I free to call a man a man? Let's talk about freedom of speech. Am I free to call a woman a woman? Or do I got to check first? We have been teaching people how to grow online. It's been absolutely amazing. We have 3 people who have been able to reach monetization in less than 30 days. Growing YouTube channels, some from 0 people. We have one guy who had 2 subscribers before he started working with me. He started helping him. His views went up 4.8 million%. We're super excited. If anybody ever want to grow on YouTube, you reach out to me with the word coach. If I'm talking about somebody who's third person, am I free to call him a him and a her without checking first? Or can I potentially lose my job? Can I potentially be reprimanded or written up? You want to talk about freedom of speech? Y'all are the wrong people to talk about freedom of speech, baby. Talking about freedom of speech. What about freedom of speech? Come on now, get out of here with that, man. Kick rocks in your socks, Jack.
Plenty of people who are not. Is this an effort to intimidate people of no faith, to push a particular faith on students who are perhaps still developing their sense of self?
I was raised in a Baptist church. I was raised to follow the Ten Commandments, and I think regardless of how you feel about the Ten Commandments, nobody would dismiss the fact that they are a pretty good set of rules. However,
my daughter used to be a school teacher in a not so nice part of Southeast DC, and she would try her best to communicate to these children's parents that your child needs to pay attention and they need to stop being so they need to do their work when they go home. They need to actually work on these assignments because I don't want to hold back the rest of the class for your kid. You know what the parents will say? I will beat your ass. I'm gonna meet you at the school. I'm gonna come up there and whoop your ass. What? Because I want your child to be better. I want your child to be better more than you want your child to be better. But instead of you making those corrections and holding them accountable when they come home, you want to beat me up? Make that make sense. So do these children need 10 commandments on the wall? My vote is yes.
nobody would dismiss the fact that they are a pretty good set of rules. However, it is a clear violation of separation of church and state to enforce this, regardless of how you write the bill, to say that it's a historical document or not a historical document, which when I was in the committee was the argument being made. And, also it's pretty telling when the bill author on committee stand says that they don't care about the feelings of a Muslim student or a Hindu student in terms of how they feel about having the Ten Commandments posted, even though that's not their faith.
Who gives a damn? Who gives a damn? This is our nation. The add-ons, the extra kids who have a different faith, they will practice their faith. But they're going to have to see what's on our walls. Are you saying that the Hindus and the Muslims not spending the money that got in God we trust on them dollar bills? I bet you damn they are. I bet you they are. I bet you they are happy to stack them bills. I bet you they are happy to invest them. I bet it. 1,000%. What about the other kids who don't believe in God? They shouldn't have to be subjected to seeing God on anything. Are you kidding me? So that means, hey, look, their fathers, although they work, they say, look, don't pay me unless you pay me in Hindu bills, because those your American bills, they got God on them, and we ain't about God life over here at all. So you can keep your money. I'll work for free, but you can keep your money. That ain't happening. They're double speaking to protect their evil tails, man. That's all that is.
Wow, what a thing to say in this country where freedom of religion is in the Constitution. That's part of the rules that govern the laws that govern this land. Go ahead, Jacob.
Abby, I wish I was being hyperbolic about that, but I was in the room where it happened. You can even go online and watch the footage from the day of. It's just what the bill author said, and I think that more than the actual posting of the Ten Commandments shows the real intent of this legislation. And also, it's just foolish legislation. I mean, what's going to happen? A third grader's going to walk in a classroom and see "Thou shalt not commit adultery" on the wall and say, well, I was really planning on committing adultery today, but
no, stupid. Okay, here's my part now. See, when men talk, I can speak. A third grade teacher is going to walk up in a third grade student is going to walk up in the class and see "Thou shalt not commit adultery" on the wall and think, maybe I should not commit adultery today. No, you know what they are going to do? They're going to ask you, what's adultery? And why shouldn't I commit it? Now, let me tell you something. If it's okay for y'all to talk about boys got dinglings and girls got, y'all don't talk about that no more. Y'all say whoever says they have this can be whatever they want. If you want to talk about body parts, you want to talk about how somebody can talk about what sex they are, but you don't want to talk about whatever's on the Ten Commandments. This is your opportunity to break it down to these kids. Break it down. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Mr. So-and-so, what does that mean? Well, I'll tell you exactly what it means. It means that when someone is in a relationship, a covenant under marriage, and they were to have relations with someone outside of that, that is adultery. that is adultery. Or if you have relationships with someone who is in that covenant, that's adultery. You're not supposed to do that. Why? Because of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, all of these reasons. You have an opportunity to do your job now if a third grader walks up in there and they see that. I would much rather have that conversation than a third grader walking up in the class and looking up on the wall and seeing a certain flag and saying, what does all of these colors represent? Oh, it means that. So I can be whatever I want to be, even like my sister? Wow, my mom never told me that. Yes. And here's the thing, too. They've come to a point where the child can decide what they are and they won't even tell the parent as a covenant between them and the. Shh, you ain't got to say anything. Shh, you ain't got to say nothing to your parents. That's between me and you. I'm sorry, but that is very ODEP in the mirror. So ODEP in the mirror is what it is. Okay. So if you look up, if you write ODEP and you put it up against the mirror, that's what that is. If you ever tell a child, shh, but you ain't never got to tell you ain't got to tell your parents. Don't tell your parents what we talked about. Don't ever tell you ain't got to tell them. That's between me and you. That's the type of legislation that they want. That's the type of rules that they want in their class. They are fine with that. But the 10 Commandments? Oh, no. Those rules are too heavy. Those rules might actually change your life for the better. We don't want that. That don't serve our purpose. That don't serve our ideology. We need you to be all messed up so that we can control you when you get older. Sorry, that doesn't work for us. Those rules, they work against us. Like our jobs is to mess you up so that we can fix you so that you can depend on us only. Again, our job is to mess you up so that we can fix you and you can only depend on us so that you can continue to vote for us. I'm sorry, they call that something. What they call that? We call it Democrats. That's what they call that. Let us mess you up and fix you. And you only depend on us because you only remember the fixing. You don't remember the messing up. Now we can tell you that since we fixed you, they the ones that messed you up. They the ones. Make it make sense. Or why would we fix you if we messed you up? Well, ain't that what they do in medicine? Because it seems to me like the same people who come up with the vaccines to fix an issue are the same people who came up with the actual virus that was up in the first place. You know what? I'm going to leave that alone. Don't tell nobody. Shh.
I mean, what's going to happen? A third grader's going to walk in a classroom and see "Thou shalt not commit adultery" on the wall and say, well, I was really planning on committing adultery today, but since I read that on the wall, now I'm not going to do it. It's just nonsense. We have real issues. And
much for joining me, and best of luck to you in your classroom. Thank you.
I'm mad that she smiled at that and she didn't answer his question when he said that. When he posed that question to you, you're supposed to break it down to him like, yeah, you know what? If they do ask something about adultery, that's when you can teach them about it. And then he looking all smug like he just now made a point. Bruh, you ain't make no daggone point. You sound foolish as hell.